So this is not a real repair video. Well, maybe it's a repair video. I don't know. This is this Yacht Boy Grundig YB 300, whatever, I can't remember. YB 300, maybe something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I opened it up because it's got a little bit of high-pitched noise in the speaker, and I thought maybe bad capacitor or something. Interesting, there's nothing, everything looks fine in the battery pack, but there's a fair amount of mess around this stuff here. I don't know what that's involved with. You can see that this is from 2004. I won't remove the tape to see what day of the revision, but that should be about right for this. You can see some of the hand soldering around here is not super, but I'm more concerned about this stuff here. So what I've got is I've got my iron on, and I'm just going to, I'm nervous about touching up the surface mount components, but I'm going to do all these through hole ones, just give them a little touch up and see if that helps the problem a bit. This board is chock-a-block with capacitors. So, you know, whether one of them is acting as a filter in the output, which would be maybe that one. This, I think, keeps the clock functioning when there are no batteries in it. That seems to be fine. So I don't know. Hard to know exactly what to do with this, but I'm going to touch up those solder joints and then maybe try bridging over that capacitor with a new one and see if it affects the sound. That'll involve me having to plug everything back together and all that. But at the moment I got it out. There's actually fairly good access to both sides of the board without removing this plastic piece. This is a pretty well designed thing. The other interesting thing about this is that the chip in it is a Toshiba chip. And as you can see, this is really just an analog radio with a chip that's generating the, I guess the IF frequency. Is that how it works? Something like that. Anyway, very neat. So we'll give that a try. Well, a couple of discrete transistors there. That's probably the audio output, eh? Yeah, a pair of, well, there are three transistors, so the preamp and the output transistors, maybe? Might want to trace those. That might be where the problem is. Anyway, I'll touch these up and try it out and see what we got. Okay, well, I did try playing around with the capacitor. I touched up a few of these joints here, but it's definitely gotten water into it at some point. Oh, there's ones here, I guess. But so I'm not going to try to do any more. Of course, the corrosion makes them difficult to solder without putting a bunch of flux and whatnot on it, which does work, but I think I'm going to leave it alone. It is working. I did try headphones, which I probably should have before, and the sound quality is fine through headphones, so I'm actually going with speaker damage from being gotten wet at some point. So that then leads to, you know, could you change the speaker? Probably. Now let me just slide this out of the way. So there's the speaker. You'd have to measure the size, but 16 ohms, it's not a very unusual speaker. It's been heat mounted in place, but it could be pulled out and a different one glued in. But I'm probably not going to do that now. I'm reasonably happy leaving this alone for the moment. It's certainly a secondary radio, mainly just to play around with. And now that I know that the earphone output is fine, I'm not too concerned about the rest of it. So, if nothing else, you got to look inside this radio and see how it's put together. See that it's based on a Toshiba chip, so quite different from the current crop of radios that are based on different chipsets. And I will put this back together and leave it alone for the moment. So I've got the Yacht Boy back together, and it's gone together fine, works as before. I still think if I come across a speaker the right size, I might try replacing it. But, given that this is an occasionally used radio, it doesn't really matter. I did want to comment that when I opened it up, I found a broken clip in this corner, and I don't think I broke it because someone's replaced the antenna on this before and probably had the corner opened up for that. But I found it rattling around loose, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I've had pretty good success re-gluing those little tiny corner clips back onto plastic cases when they get broken up in opening, and that's what I did. I just tacked it on with some super glue, gave it a good deal of time to dry, over an hour I think in this case, and then clipped it right back together, and this corner is now as solid as new, even though it was not before. So I would encourage people who open up small consumer electronics like this, if you do break a clip, don't throw it out, hold on to it, and when you put it back together, before you put it back together, glue it back in, because I'm like 10 for 10 on gluing them back in place now, and it's really worth a try rather than have to do what I've had to do in a couple of instances where you end up putting a glue dot on the case to solve a wiggly corner problem. But here, it's fine. All right, well, hope you enjoyed my little discussion, little look inside video, really. That's what it turned out to be for the Grundig Yacht Boy 300 PE. One thing I forgot to mention is that when we looked inside, the AM antenna is really quite impressive on this, and I really do have to give this radio a go at AM DXing. It might have some capabilities there. This will probably end up up at my office, which is what I intended to do with it anyway. The nice thing about having a nice beat-up looking radio at the office is no one's likely to wander off with it. Anyhow, thanks for watching.